Welcome back to this video. In this video we will be making a user model that we will store in our Firebase database, and basically the modeling process makes it a lot easier to store our data in an organized manner and to access the data. And so let's start. So first of all what I'm going to do is that I'm going to make a directory, and it will be named as models. And in the models I'm going to create a user model dot file as user. Okay, so just leave it as, or I can change it to user model. And let me just make a class as user model. And okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is that I will have to put all the variables that I want in my app. Okay, so I want the UID. Basically the UID is the user ID of a student. Okay, so in this case I'm talking about students, so I'm keeping the ID, the UID. Okay, the next thing I want is the name of the student, and I want his email, as well as I want its photo URL. Okay, so this line will basically be used to store the URL of our picture or the user's picture in our app. Okay, so the next thing we want is the grade. Okay, because it's a user related information, it's a student related information, so we are going to use this. And the next thing we want is total. Okay, so the total will basically represent the total classes, and let me just rename it. Okay, so, and the next thing I want is total presence, same as I want absence and leaves and the number of leaves left. I can do one thing, is that when I get the leaves count, I can subtract it from, let's say 6 is the total number of leaves count, so I can do that. But I think it's a better way to just store in the information in the database. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to make it as leaves left. Okay, so this is done. Now I want to make a constructor for this class, and what I'm gonna do is that I want, or I can do a similar thing. I can just create. Okay, so this is done. Okay, and I just made a constructor for all those fields, and yeah, it's fine. So let me just organize the code so it looks better and it's a bit readable in that case. Okay, so I can do this in such a way that I can make them required, or this is just fine. So yeah, it works. So the next thing I want is in my class that I want to convert my data into a JSON format. Okay, so into a map format. Okay, because in our Firebase database the connection or the information that is being sent is in the map format. Okay, so what I'm going to do is that I'm going to make a map. So let me just make a map, and it will be a string with a dynamic value. Okay, so yeah, and I'm going to make it as 2 JSON. Okay, so it will be something like this. Okay, so what I'm going to do is that I'm going to copy all this. Okay, or I can just copy it UID, and I can make it at this is equals to UID. Okay, so the same thing. Okay, so it will be this colon. Okay, so I will do this all the things for every variable. Okay, so let me just duplicate them, and let me just copy them. Okay, so name, same goes for email, photo URL, okay. So I'm just keeping the string, or the name, to the same name that the values will be containing. Okay, so it's much easier to understand that what the information is carrying about, or the what is the variable carrying information about. Okay, so I'm going to copy the absence. Where is it? Absence, leaves, and I will do the same for leaves left. Okay, so this is done, and let me just use a semicolon. Okay, so I just made a method to convert the data into a JSON format. Okay, so what to do if I want to get the values from the JSON. Okay, so I will use the same thing, and let's just keep it for another video. So in this video I just made a model for our students. Okay, so in the next video we will be signing them up, and we will also convert the from JSON to normal variables. Okay, so I will get the we will get the values from the JSON format, and or from the snapshot that we'll be taking in the next video.